Today we're back at the intersection of Canning Highway and Stirling Highway in Fremantle, and we're going to have a look at how this traffic light pole makes life even more hazardous and difficult for cyclists using the detour around the Fremantle Traffic Bridge project. So what's going on? Well, the old bridge is going to close on the 1st of February, and they're going to change how the traffic flows at this intersection. And one of the main things is cars and trucks are not going to be able to head west along Canning Highway. They're going to be forced to turn left and go north over the Stirling Highway Bridge, which is fine. So what they've done is they've widened the existing slip lane from 1 lane to 2, and they've installed a set of traffic lights, and they've also upgraded all the traffic islands and all that kind of stuff. So, okay, that's all good. And as part of this, they ripped up the old footpath and they relaid it. Okay, that's fine as well. This is all understandable to try and keep the traffic flowing, because I can tell you on Saturday the 24th, it was an absolute disaster all the way around Fremantle. So we can see the new road layout here. The new left-turn arrows are in place. The red paint is down for the bus lanes. And as we go around the corner here, what we'll see is just how narrow this gap is between the edge of the footpath on the left and where that new pole is. Now, this would be fine if this path was only used by pedestrians, but remember, all the cycle traffic going from Fremantle back and forth is now going to be forced over this bridge. Okay, some of the mammals will stick to the road, but everyone else is going to be on this path. And why would you stick a pole smack bang in the middle of it where people can come around that corner and run into it? It's just really poor design. They haven't planned for it properly. They haven't put on a cyclist-centric viewpoint, I guess, and put on a cycling head to think about it. They obviously haven't tested it pertinently using a bicycle. So it's left to me to point out what a poor design decision this whole thing is. I don't have an issue with where they've put the pole, because obviously it needs to be set back from the edge of the curb a certain distance. So things like trucks and buses, if they are going around that corner to get onto the Stirling Bridge, they're not going to clip it as they go around the corner. The issue is they haven't made the path wide enough so that when they install that pole, there is sufficient clearance on the western side. Now, we've seen this problem before over in Sydney when the WestConnex project was underway. There was a Ostgrid power pole on a corner like this, or on a bend, and although the project team were told many times that that pole was a significant risk and a hazard and it should have been shifted, they said, no, we'll just wrap it in fluorescent tape, and we'll put some kind of wrestling mats on it, so if anyone does run into it, it's not going to hurt. What happened? Someone did come around the corner, clipped the pole, hit the ground, and was carted off in an ambulance. Shortly thereafter, the pole was magically removed. So hopefully we're not going to have the same issue with this project, where it takes a serious injury before they wake up and do something about it. Okay, so this is what it looked like back on the 13th of January when the new path was laid. You can see how magically wide it is without the pole there. This is absolutely fine for bi-directional traffic. It's only the installation of the pole that makes this a hazard. Now, if you're coming from the south and coming this way, it's not an issue because the pole is offset on the side of the pram ramp, so we can happily turn right here. It's really only an issue if you're going around the bend like this, and particularly if there's someone coming the other way. Now, I did test this by going around the curbside, and I'd say don't do it. It's a little bit narrow, and there's a risk really of clipping the pole or even clipping a vehicle coming around the corner. Now, just by accident or happenstance, I happened to come around here and there was a cyclist coming the other way, and you can see they actually slowed down and then went on the wide side of the pole. There's a significant risk of a head-on collision here caused by that kind of thing happening. Then the path has to be widened. So let's see what the Austroads guides have to say about this, particularly Part 6A. So usefully, it's got some stuff in there that describes things like the cycling envelope and how big that needs to be. Then there's this concept of the clear width of a path, not just the path width itself. Obviously, the clear width is where there's no vegetation, there's no signs or poles or fences or seats or anything which can become an obstacle or a hazard to the path users, reducing the width of the clear path. And these things should be removed wherever practical. Now, I'm not saying the pole needs to be moved. It probably has to be there to ensure trucks and buses coming around the corner don't clip it. That's fine. But if that's the case, widen the path to accommodate it. Now, how wide should the path be? And look, this guide's got all sorts of stuff in here about, you know, the type of path and the speed of cyclists and all that kind of thing. But I think what we can agree on is this is a shared path. It's not a footpath. In 2027, once the new bridge opens, it will pretty much revert to being a footpath, because I think all the cyclists will be using the new bridge and the nice 4-metre wide lanes which have been promised on the sides of the new bridge for cyclists and pedestrians. Who's going to want to go across the Stirling Bridge with this horrible little, you know, narrow path that's currently got on the side of it? So I would say this would probably be classed as a regional path, which means the desirable minimum width between the edge of the pole and the inside edge of the path needs to be 3 metres. Now, the minimum width should be 2.5. That's the minimum safety distance. 3 would be better. 4 would be absolutely fantastic. And 4 metres, when you look in the information about the new Fremantle, the new bridge that's going to be built, that's how wide the shared path is going to be. But let's just go with 2.5. Now, there's all these wonderful tables in here, you know, about different types of paths and how wide they should be, and whether it's just a cycle path only or a shared path, and whether it's just commuting or recreation, all that kind of thing. But let's just accept 2.5 metres is the absolute minimum we should be looking at. So how could we fix this? Well, I would have thought the simplest thing to do, we've got all this bare dirt on the left-hand side of this photo here, plenty of open space. Why not just get the concrete mixer back and fill that in, and obviously, you know, do a much better job than my pretty rough hand-drawn thing here, but, you know, widen it and put in a nice smooth bend and all that kind of thing with the correct kind of arc or radius or whatever you need to do to make it 2.5 metres minimum from the edge of that pole to the new edge of the curb. And that might incorporate, you know, so these pits might in fact be partly included in the new path. And I mean, that shouldn't be the end of the world. But you know, the last thing we want to have is, before long, someone comes around this corner and there's either a head-on collision or someone clips the pole. And I mean, the worst thing that could possibly happen is you've got traffic coming towards you, coming around that slip lane. They've got a green light. They're coming around at 40 kilometres an hour or so. Someone goes round the left-hand side of that pole. They clip it with their handlebars, and what's going to happen? They're going to be thrown to their left into the path of oncoming traffic, and that's probably going to be a fatality. So let's not have that. Let's just go back to the drawing board, quickly work out where that where the widened section of path needs to be, and get it in quick smart. Anyway, thanks for watching.